Hello everyone, Nadezhda here, and in today's lesson we are going to learn how to excavate the terrain in Revit. We are going to learn how to use those grading tools, how to use the different phases for the excavations, and how to create the excavation schedules. So let's begin. Here I have one existing terrain and I'm just going to add one floor that will represent the floor of my house. I'm just going to add one random rectangular floor. And I'm also going to hide this terrain and add the walls. I go to the wall tool and I will choose the location line to be finish face, and I'm just going to create the rectangular walls that will be around my project. I go to the 3D and let's see how it looks. I'm just going to make the walls a little taller. I'm just going to go to the L2 and I'm just going to raise top offset to be, for example, 6000 millimeters from the level. So here we now have this house, we have the walls, we have the floors, and we have our terrain. If you only need to just excavate the terrain without having any of these other complex tools, what you can do is you can select this terrain and you can click on excavate. Now I simply click on my floor and as you can see, this part of the terrain disappears. If you just need to make this cut without having any of these other options, without using any of these other tools, this might be enough for you. But if you actually need the calculation and if you actually need to show the old terrain and the new terrain, you are going to be using the grading tools. I'm just going to go back and I'm going to go to the massing and site option. I'm going to use this graded region tool and I'm going to choose this first option that says create a new topography exactly like this existing one. I click on it and I select my topography. What happens now is I have copied this terrain and now there are two copies of it. If I go to hide in view, I can see that I have this terrain right below my new terrain. What we need to do now is actually separate which terrain is going to be the old one and which is going to be the new one. So I select this one and I navigate to the phasing. And I can see here that the phase created of this terrain is going to be new construction. And I'm going to leave the phase demolished to none. So once I have set this up in this terrain, I hide it and I set this old terrain up. So here I am going to choose phase created, existing, and I'm going to leave the phase demolished as the new construction because basically we are counting this terrain to be basically demolished later on. So once I have done that, I can just reset and now I have these two terrains, one above the other. In order to not be confused by it, in order to actually have the different view for each phase, I'm just going to rename this existing 3D view and I'm going to call it the existing terrain. I will duplicate this view and new view will be called new terrain. And now I'm going to set up the phasing filter of each view. So I go to the existing terrain and I navigate to phase, and in the phase I will just choose the existing. So this will show us the old terrain, and in the new terrain I do the same, only for the phase I choose the new construction. In the phase filter here I'm going to only show new for now so I don't see the old terrain. Of course later in this lesson we are also going to see these other options and how we can set these views up to show exactly what we wanted to show. So here I have this new terrain and when I hide it I can see that I no longer have the old one below it. So what I'm going to do is now I go to the excavate tool and I click on this floor again. And I am showing the new terrain. But as we can see in the existing terrain, we have the old terrain which is untouched. If we wish to show the old terrain here as well, we can actually change the phase filter to show the show demo plus new. Basically what this will do is show us the old terrain with the hidden lines. So now that we have set everything up, I'm just going to go to the new schedule quantities option and I'm going to choose the Toposolid. I'm going to call this the excavation schedule. And I'm going to click OK. And here I am going to add all the parameters that I need. And the first parameter that I need is, for example, the name. So I can set up the name of this topography. Next, what I need is the cut and fill. And I'm also going to need this net cut fill option, and I'm going to click OK. And here we basically have the exact amount of the soil we have cut. What we see here basically is old topography and the new topography. We can also give them the name. Let's just call this old topo, and this one we will call the new topo. Basically here you don't really need the old topography in this schedule, so I can simply go to filter and I can filter by name, and I can set up the name equals new topography and click OK. So now we can see that we have the cut and we have cut exactly this amount of soil. But we don't have the fill, and first we need to actually add the soil that we are missing here. Before we continue with the lesson, let's hear a word of a sponsor, which is also actually me. If you want to learn Revit with me, I have actually created a course which is designed specifically to make you ready to work in Revit independently or in big teams. In this course, you also have the assignments where you get to exercise everything that you learn, and you also get to ask questions directly from instructors. So everything that was not clear to you, everything that you need help with, I answer these questions the same day. So you don't just watch videos, but you interactively learn Revit. I have also made the special attention to the people who already have some experience but in AutoCAD, so I have made sure to actually help you transition from AutoCAD to Revit very smoothly. While this is a beginner's course, it is also very useful for people who already have some experience but want to level up their Revit knowledge. To see the course content, go to the bim&tonic.net, and I hope to see you in these lessons. So let's continue with this lesson. So in this house, I can see that I have the gap here. Basically, this is the part of the project that basically needs to be filled with the additional soil. So I will go to L1 and I will click on the Modify Sub-Elements option. I will click on Add Points to add a couple of points in my topography. The more points you add, the more precise your topography is going to be. So I'm just going to add this amount of points. And basically what we can see in the 3D is that these points are just going to be added in the exact elevation they really are in this topography. And I go to Modify Sub-Elements, and point by point I'm just going to raise these points to be in the elevation of my slab. So I just find them and I raise them. If you don't want to be confused, you can just add some good angle that will show your points in the same line. Like for example here, we can see that these 3 points are in exact same line, so I can just trace these points. If you make a mistake, don't worry about it, you can just delete the point and add the new one. So I add this one. And let's see if this looks good. This is actually looking good. It has filled up all the gaps. I can see that I can add this one as well. And this is, I think this is it. And we have basically added this soil here. And once we go to this schedule, we can actually see that now we have fill schedule. Basically, this is the amount of soil we have added. So now we also have the net cut to fill, which is actually the difference between how much was cut and how much was added. And now I can do the same for my plans. I can go to L1, and here in the plans you can basically do what we have previously done for the 3D views. You can either create the 2 different plans and show 2 different phases on these different plans, or you can create one plan and choose what gets seen. Basically, if we choose the new construction and we choose show all, we can basically see also the old amount of soil. We can also choose the show new, which will just get rid of this old cut soil. I'm just going to go back, and this is also very handy for the sections, because once I create section through this building, I can see the exact amount of soil that was previously existing in this building area. And we can also see that while we have bridged this gap in the edges of the building, we also have to actually set this up as well. Basically, we have to fill the rest of this earth with the soil. So I'm going to go to the plan, and I'm just going to pull this section to be on the edge of the building, and I'm also going to make sure that it covers only the area of the building, that it doesn't go outside, so I can see only this portion of the topography. So I go back to this view and I click on the modify sub-elements option, and I'm just going to get rid of these points that are below my building. I click delete, and as you can see now, the rest of this area is filled with the earth, exactly where the slab meets with the soil. I go back to the new terrain 3D, and now we basically have set everything up. Another handy thing about this option is you can go to the manage tool and you can go to the phases. If you want to show in this 3D or in the section or plan or elevation, doesn't matter, any possible view, you can actually go to the graphic overrides and you can choose how you want to show the different phases of this topography. For example, let's say that I don't want to show this earth to be black. I actually want to show this portion of the earth to be a little bit gray. So it is very visible instantly that it's not the existing soil. So I'm going to go to the projection lines, and I'm going to choose some kind of different color. Let's say, for example, this gray. And I'm going to click OK. And as you can see now, this portion of the earth is much paler than the rest of these lines. We can also go to phasing, and we can also kind of edit the patterns if we wanted to have some different colors or something. And basically we have a lot of options here. Of course, this setting actually handles the graphical setting of the entire model, so it is something that you have to be cautious with. If you don't want to actually change this for entire model, you can actually create the filters for the phasing. I can go to the visibility graphics, and I can go to the filters, and I can add the new filter. I go to the edit new and I create the new filter, and let's just call it the existing topography. I'm going to choose the Toposolid, and I'm going to choose phasing here. Let's say phase created equals existing. I click OK, and I will add this filter that I have just created. Here it is, existing topography, and I'm just going to add the different color of the lines. Let's say, for example, orange. I click OK. And basically this handles the graphical settings only in this one view, while the other views still have this grayish color of the existing land. And this is it for today's lesson. Thank you for watching, and if you like this lesson, like and subscribe, it means a lot to me. And if you want some other lessons about some different topography tools, let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next lesson. Bye! If you want to learn Revit like a pro, take a look at my architectural course through the link below. You will learn how to develop the project from concept to final design using Autodesk Revit. It is ideal for beginners, but valuable for anyone looking to build a solid foundation. By the end, you'll know how to take a design from concept to detailed documentation with confidence and clarity. You will gain a solid Revit workflow you can actually use independently or in work in larger teams in architectural studios. With almost 100 structured video lessons, it is designed to help beginners master Revit step by step. To support your progress, I've included assignments with each lesson, plus the opportunity to ask questions and receive guidance directly from me whenever you need it. This way, you're not just watching tutorials, you're actively learning, practicing, and improving every step of the way. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.